a good surgeon.
More than you can say for his after dinner.
The word is, he's after Professor Brickstock's job.
Really?
I always thought his sojourn in Boston Stitch was to shore up his CV.
Can he start?
Rumour was he was after Glasgow. Glasgow was filled from the inside.
Oh, Derek Stringer got it.
England's 114 for 5, Mr. Pascoe.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. All right, keep me posted. 114 for 5. We need more volume, I think. Someone do the honours, would you? Oh, thanks.
Mind you, Derek Stringer is a class act. Got even more letters off his name than you had.
Who's counting? Rewarm, please. Let's see how she does on her own.
Ventilating.
Venus clamp, please. Thank you. Right, Venus line clamp.
I'm off bypass. Tie costs 100.
Right, take the clamp. Take the Venus. Side clamp, the big one. No, a Satinsky. That's it.
She's all right.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, could I have your attention, please? On behalf of the committee, I am delighted to welcome our keynote speaker for our conference this weekend. He's chaired more committees than I've breath to recount. He's the author of numerous publications on cardiovascular surgery. He is one of cardiac surgery's most enlightened and skilled practitioners. He is, of course, Mr. Edgar Pascoe.
May I say how very nice it is to see so many familiar faces, and how good it is that I'm still alert enough to put names to some of you. Speaking of names, iatrogenesis. We keep hearing it, don't we? And how trippingly it falls off the tongue. Iatrogenesis. Rather like some obscure dermatological condition.
How come it's always us that gets picked on?
I really can't imagine. As we know, the word is derived from the Greek for physician and origin. It certainly describes an ailment, which is the current media theory that it's actually we doctors who are injurious to health. And we surgeons are their favorite targets. We are the arrogant high priests in the Aesculapian temple of science, and it's high time we were all defrocked. Although, personally, I've always regarded myself more as an overqualified plumber. Hence my call-out rate. And now, they've turned upon our technology. They decry it as a medical hypermarket of quick-fix, high-tech tricks that have eroded the intimacy and trust between patient and doctor. And yet, one of the first interventionist instruments was the stethoscope. And it was greeted with the same hue and cry we hear today, that it reduced the physical, ergo, the personal contact between the doctor and his patient. Thank God our forefathers didn't heed such alarmist claptrap. They knew as we know that technology and humanitarian values are not the uneasy bedfellows these Luddites claim. They are an unimpeachable, enduring alliance to provide the best treatment we can for our patients, which is why there is no technical innovation, no new piece of equipment, no new surgical tool I will not embrace if it can assist us in our search to unlock the mysteries of all those diseases which still elude us. The undisputed benefits of this technology ensure that the trust between patient and doctor remains intact and inviolate. Dr. Denton, I presume?
A rehash of your Chicago keynote 94, if I'm not mistaken.
What a relief, Morris, that few people are endowed with your elephantine memory.
Bravo. Ah, Daddy. Super.
Clarion call to arms always gets the punters going.
Sorry about the suit. Did it matter much?
Apparently not.
The Americans are here.
All right.
Okay, back to the coalface.
Keep it light, strictly small talk, so that if and when the job comes out, you'll be able to put a face to your name. You're going to knock him over like ninepins. Go and do your stuff. You.
Edgar, congratulations. A winner of a speech is old.
Thank you very much, my daughter Nicola.
One of twins, if I remember.
That's right. This is Hugh Lyle, professor of cardiac surgery at the Lakeside in Seattle.
Well, Nicola, are you studying here in Oxford?
No. Surgical registrar in Southwark, down in London.
Oh, another medical dynasty, huh? Which specialty?
3 guesses.
Cardiac?
It had absolutely nothing to do with me.
Is your twin following in the family tradition, too?
No. Devlin Medical Technology. He's a marketing executive.
Oh, the one that got away, huh?
That's right.
Well, Nicola, why don't you come and meet my team? You mind?
Please. Off you go.
Where you go?
Okay. Telemedicine. Interactive, multimedia consultation, a breakthrough in medical technology. From now on, a patient and his doctor don't even need to be in the same country. By the millennium, and this is the bonus for all of you, the carrot we think everyone will want a bite of, you can be running an outpatient's clinic in the continent of your choice, all from the consulting rooms of your very own in Harley Street, all done via Devlin's high-quality digital video telephone link. Can I interest you in...
Edgar! Right on cue.
Joe, good to see you again.
Did you get my email?
Yes, I did. So this is the great unveiling, huh?
This is when all those years of R&D hit pay dirt. Your son is doing his proud on it. It took him a wee while to find his feet, mind you, but he's gotten in the swing of it now, as you can see.
Fantastic definition. It's years ahead of the old analog phone line system.
Now, all I have to do is sell it worldwide. I've my scouts all over Europe, the Eastern Bloc, Asia, and they're checking out a prime location for an intercontinental pilot scheme.
The patient is an 8-year-old child suffering from dehydration and abdominal pains. Our pediatric consultant, Mr. Corkley from the Caledonian Hospital, is leading the consultation. As you can see, the doctor in situ is relating the symptoms while Mr. Corkley conducts the examination. Telemedicine, interactive multimedia consultation, a breakthrough in medical technology. From now on, a patient and his doctor don't even need to be in the same country.
Dream.
What dream?
Damn dream I have.
Are you in pain?
I've got some GTN back at the flat. Don't fuss. Joe Devlin wants to set up a telemedicine center in China. He's funding a high-profile delegation to go over and run a PR conference on it.
He wants you to be part of it?
He wants me to chair it. You know me and new toys.
Will Daniel be involved in any of this?
I've suggested conference coordinator, something like that.
What he must have felt like today up there on that wretched display.
His choice.
Remember what we used to call the chinks at med school? Can hardlies. I can hardly see.
The subtlety wasn't lost on me, Morris.
You GPs had better watch out, Lilith. Primary care will be colonized by computers, video links. Then you'll all be past your sell-by date. Chop up. Can hardlies. I can hardly see.
He knows when to stop. Why don't you come with me? I'm sure some of the other wives will be going too. Be lots of outings, things like that. Yes. A week or so together. Change of scenery, just the job.
It's a two-way thing, is it? This exchange of ideas?
I would have thought that the term exchange made that implicit. Do I detect your usual ring of censure?
I won't be going back to the flat tonight, Edgar. I've got a surgery first thing. I'll go straight on to Wiltshire.
Fine.
كم مرة اطمئن كل شيء على ما يرام. تفضل. جيب لي فؤاد بدي فؤاد على الخط وحياتك.
Mr. Sedgley.
ها؟ ما فيش فاتورة ما فيش شيء.
Managed to park all right?
We came by train.
Ah. How sensible. Do you still get chest pain?
Now and again.
Worse when he exercises.
Which is a good excuse not to.
You stop smoking?
Doctor's orders. Dr. Denton, the cardiologist who sent me, he said that an operation was my best option. Cabbage, isn't that what you call them?
Well, I prefer to use the proper term, coronary artery bypass grafting. But Dr. Denton certainly wouldn't make such a recommendation lightly. Excuse me, ma'am. Mrs. Lawson, has Mr. Naziz confirmed his operation date yet? I see, right. Good. Thank you very much. Right. Yes, I have a cancellation in my private list on Monday. Well, my secretary will give you the details of the hospital and the admission procedures. I'm sure you'll find it very comfortable. Now, the operation lasts for about 3 hours, followed by 36 hours intensive care and a further 5 to 6 days hospitalization.
I seem to have got so much better in the past month. I thought maybe I could stay on the medication, see how we go.
Your angiogram indicates two-vessel disease. Your first heart attack was just a warning of what could happen without surgical intervention.
I read about these other things. Oh, our little lad. These herbal cures. Well, I know they might seem a bit wacko, but they seem to get results. All that angioplastic thing, you know, with a balloon which widens the artery.
Angioplasty with a Y.
But the thing is, that's just done with a local anaesthetic, isn't it?
May I ask where you got this?
A friend of mine cut them out for me.
I'm very aware of your pathology, Mr. Sedgley, through countless other cases that I've dealt with. These herbal remedies, if remedy is in fact the right word, are related only to the preventative aspect. And even then, there's no convincing evidence to support their efficacy. As for an angioplasty, if such an option were possible, arterial narrowings could recur within a few months, and the whole procedure would have to be repeated.
But it says there that bypasses are often repeated too.
Peter.
Mr. Sedgley, if you doubt my clinical judgment, or indeed that of Dr. Denton, you have only to seek a second opinion. And in fact, if that is the case, I strongly recommend that you do so. Mutual trust, you see, is essential.
Monday's fine. Really.
Well, my secretary will be in touch. If you could ask your insurance people to send on ministry paperwork. My contact numbers should you require them.
Thank you, Dr. Pascoe.
No, mister. Only physicians or doctors.
Oh, yes, of course.
I'm sure your friend meant well.
Hello? Yeah, fine, fine. Listen, is my father there? God. Could you tell him I'm hoping to get an aortic valve to do and I'll need his input? No, just get him to call me. Okay, thank you. Bedford needs his blood gases checking. I do believe we're in serious danger of actually making the deadline. We still need references for this lot. You know, the prof is, he goes ape if it's not chapter and verse.
You said you did the references.
I did the clinical trial stuff.
Oh, boy.
What?
You lifted most of it from that piece in the New England Journal of Medicine, Nicola. There is such a thing as plagiarism. It's practically word for word. If we ever do get into print, the original authors will spot it, won't they?
Bollocks, they will.
Besides which, a criterion for publication is having an original slant. Otherwise, why bother?
Dilip, if that were the case, nothing would get published at all.
It'll have to be redrafted. Otherwise, cut out altogether. Shared authorship does rather suggest the work has to be shared too, Nicola.
I know, Dilip, and I'm going to start putting that right. Starting now. I mean it. Truly.
Like you meant it the last time, and the time before that. This isn't working, Nicola. We'll have to see Professor Hartley. We'll get it sorted.
Mr. Calder's our new practice manager. He's been trailing me for a few days.
Rationalisation of resources for the benefit of the patient.
Brendan, look what I've got, Brendan. Look. Can you see? Can you catch it? See if you can catch it. Good boy. Just put it in your hand there like that. Good boy. Now, down here. I'm going to listen to your heart. Ooh, it's very loud. Going to-do, 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 to-do. When I'm finished, I'm going to let you hear it yourself. Do you like that? It's going to-do, 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 to-do.
So your husband is in the business?
Different branch, cardiac surgery.
And your daughter too, I hear. What is it about medicine and families? Have you never thought of specialising?
I found the hospital hierarchy rather constraining.
It's where the action is. A log for you and the others in the practice to complete. Ratio of time per patient, time spent on administration, phone calls, most common and current pathologies. Help me process the data, make my recommendations.
Recommendations?
Well, we don't want the practice having another run-in like last year, do we? Running out of funds before the end of the financial year.
Hello, Dr. Pascoe.
Hello.
This is Mr. Calder, our practice manager. He's been trailing me for a few days.
Rationalisation of resources for the benefit of the patient.
Can he talk to you?
No.
Understand what you say to him?
He squeezes my hand.
Can you squeeze my hand? Good, good. Can you press against me? Good, good. And again, can you press against me? Oh, good, good. Will he take anything by mouth?
Only fluids, then only a drop.
Continence?
Nappies.
Maybe a catheter might help. I'll need to speak to his regular doctor. He doesn't seem to be registered with us.
He doesn't have one. It was always physician, heal thyself.
He was a doctor?
Dr. Manville.
Where did he practice?
Right here. This was his consulting room.
He was my family doctor. He treated my mother when she had cancer. I was a child. I used to sit in the corner watching him while he examined her. I'd never seen anyone look at another human being the way he did. With such focus. She used to say it was as if he could see right through the disease to the person she used to be. It was he who made me want to become a doctor.
Cup of tea, mister.
Your heart is still in atrial fibrillation. They're telling us to add anticoagulants these days, but I think we'll stick to the digoxin, okay? I'll talk to the hospital, get your notes. We'll work out a rehabilitation program.
We'll start off with the two redo coronaries, the first being 12 years ago. Patient 3 is a straight up and down two-vessel disease, vein taken from the left cup. And for a bit of life relief, I put in the aortic valve.
You'll be all right.
How's that motor of yours doing?
I traded it in for a Mercedes coupe.
Did you indeed?
If I can ever get it insured.
I thought we'd try one of those classic car insurance jobbies.
How's that Venus pressure going?
Stable.
Did you try the medical insurance people? They usually come up trumps. Suction.
You could try my man in Watford. He does a great deal.
Watford? Oh, how very egalitarian.
Some of us were born and bred in Watford.
North or south of the junction. ST segment's going up, Edgar.
Right's blocked. Left interior descending is critical. Are those lines up? Where's the perfusionist?
Heart struggling a bit. PA's up a bit, isn't it,
Get the perfusionist in now.
We're losing it. Pressure 50, no 40.
He's in VF. Let's get him on bypass. Defibrillate. Dr. Denton, please.
Can I ask who's calling?
Yes, Edgar Pascoe.
One moment, please.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Hello? Ah, Edgar.
Morris. You know that patient you sent me? Yes, the routine two-vessel case with angina, name is Sedgley. I lost him.
How did it happen?
Well, he went into VF before we could get him on bypass. Critically ischemic. I grafted everything. Couldn't get him off bypass. Just couldn't get him back.
I'll call Alice, my ex. She and his wife are old school buddies. That's how he got sent to me in the first place. Tight LAD with blocked right. It's maybe 5% risk. That's 1 in 20, Edgar. You hit a statistical rock. It happens.
It happens. Come on. We still have a list to get through. Onwards.
Mrs. Sedgley. I'm afraid there were complications during your hospital operation.
Sorry, I'm not here. Please leave a message and I'll call you back.
It's only me, just checking in. Nothing to report.
Right. Good. Dry. Clean this with saline, and leave it uncovered. If anyone wants me, I'm in the canteen.
Morning, sir.
Prof. Oh, I'm sorry.
Is something wrong, my dear?
No. Yes. Could I have a moment? I've been wanting to talk to you for the last few weeks.
The randomized trials?
Over the page.
Good work on the rotaplator technique. Very thorough. Once you've dotted the I's, got your references down, I'd certainly be happy to recommend it for publication. You and Dearbhla are to be congratulated. This will be a substantial step up for both of you.
Dearbhla barely wrote a word of it. At the research stage, a lot of it was just slogging it out at the library, on the internet. And I really didn't mind that much. But lately, it's just one excuse after another. I mean, God knows it's hard enough to find the time. I have the same pressures, and we all do. And he has the cultural ones as well, and I know that, and I've tried to make allowances. I honestly have, but criteria for publication is having an original slant, isn't it? Not just lifting stuff straight out of the journals.
Dearbhla did that. He's usually meticulous about such things.
That's what I thought too.
I'll need your research notes to substantiate all this.
I made copies for you.
I assume you've had all this out with him.
He went absolutely ballistic. Said it was a racist conspiracy. I mean, I didn't even know he had a chip about that sort of thing. He said that if I made a fuss, that he'd say that it was he who did all the work. Can't tell you how much better I feel having spoken to you. Oh, Daddy sends his best. Said he had the most gruesome hangover after your session in the club last week. Thank you.
And so, gentlemen, I thought a briefing might be useful for the kind of ground you'll need to cover in China. That is, for those of you here who decide to be a part of our team out there.
In other words, we're hoping to whet your collective appetites.
Now, the crucial thing we hope to get over is that telemedicine has two areas of potential for the Chinese. Firstly, it will access their remote regions and thus reduce their primary healthcare costs.
So it's a final bye-bye to their barefoot doctors.
And the second and maybe most important benefit is that they, the Chinese, can call on the best specialist expertise in the UK for all their diagnostic input.
How about the actual operations?
Ah, yes. Well, Mr. Warboy's here. He's coming with us, and he'll be answering all the technical questions.
An example from our trials 2 years ago. A video feed was put into an operating theatre in Boston. It was an orthopedic case. Details on...
Page 4 of the case history samples.
A consultant orthopedic surgeon supervised the proceedings from a private hospital in Southampton.
So everybody was home for tea. Or lunch, depending on the time zone.
Hong Kong will soon be just the gatekeeper, won't it? No point in pledging our troth there.
The downside of all this telecommunications thing is that it'll nuke the international lecture circuit.
And it's goodbye to Paraguay and Bali. I missed out on the Bali do this year. Was it a good turnout? Well, it was really, because you weren't there.
So, you think they took the bait?
Overdone the ginger.
It's cumin, Daddy.
Why do you think the Chinese will be up for it?
They're after economic growth, Daniel. In order to achieve that, they have to be connected to the global economy.
Medicine's quite a good route.
East and West united by medicine, where the politicians and the diplomats have failed.
Yeah. I'll drink to that.
Well, people have been knighted for less.
There's a thought.
Out of my hands.
More coffee, Jeffrey?
Hello. Jenna is my hero at medical school. Milkmaids don't get smallpox, they get their immunity from cowpox. From that simple but mercurial logic, vaccinations.
I forget you started off in medicine, too.
Yes, it's best forgotten.
You can take comfort you weren't alone. What started as a trickle has turned into an exodus. All those years of slog, jumping over endless bloody hurdles. Hardly the fast track, is it?
Come on, Morris, it paid off. You're up there on the Himalayan heights with the best of them.
I am but a humble cardiologist, mere physician. It's your surgeons who are the players. Your front runners.
Daddy, can I have a word?
Yes, please. Oh, yes, see you down there.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Well done, Molloy.
Speak soon.
There's a post coming up at the Headingley. Specialist registrar. Now, if I get my paper published, it might just be the edge I need. Then the next stop, consultancy.
It's a good unit. Yes, you could do a lot worse. Ian Cartland is the man in charge up there.
No, I don't want you to go nobbling anyone in the interview board, Daddy. I want to go in there fair and square like anyone else.
I'm so proud of you. You've no idea how much. See you tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night, Morris.
Good night.
Good night.
It's quite a deal, this China thing.
It lives up to the hype.
It's hardly the devil in corporate spirit, Daniel. What is it? Afraid you're not up to it?
In your dreams.
Must be a real bonus for Daddy having you on board.
Good night, Nicola.
You set me up. I saw Professor Hartley. You put your name on my fucking research, on all of it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I'm not letting you do this. I'll take it as I have to.
You've never met my father, have you, Dylan? I tell him what a good egg you are. You'll be surprised how doors open for you. Equally, of course, they can be slammed shut with the speed of fucking light.
You all right?
Yeah, fine. I'll call you tomorrow.
Right.
Good night. Some mafia, Dilip. And outsiders like us have to use whatever means at our disposal.
You're not an outsider.
There are no portraits of women in there, have you noticed? Not one. Good night, Dilip.
Evening, John.
Dr. Pascoe? I forgot you like to be called Mr., don't you?
Oh, it's Mrs.
Sedgley.
Yes, of course.
Tell me, do you usually send a boy to do a man's job? The young doctor you sent to tell me my husband was dead?
Oh, but surely Dr. Denton telephoned to give you more details of exactly what happened. And naturally, I was going to write
Here, a few carefully crafted lines of condolence, signed in your absence.
It's all right, Joe. Do come and sit down for a moment.
A teacher at school once said that by the time we'd all reached our 40s, someone close to us would have died. A relative, or even as a child, I resented the inevitability of that. Assumed she meant it as a kind of preparation.
Please, come and sit down.
You made him feel a fool.
I found that my certainty can be an asset for patients.
And for you too, I imagine.
Mrs. Sedgley, whether or not to operate is like playing Russian roulette with two revolvers, neither of which is fully loaded. Ultimately, it depends upon the individual judgment of the clinician concerned. As I recall, you were all for the operation.
Yes, because I trusted you. That's why I talked him into it. I mean, after all, that's why we went private. That's what you must do these days. You want the best medical care, you pay for it, and you were the best money could buy. I didn't know then what I know now. Dr. Denton's ex-wife. We're friends, you see. Yes. Yeah. And she told me all about the little arrangement you both have.
Arrangement?
Feathering of your mutual nest. Now, what is it you call it? The division of spoils. The king was in his counting house. Counting out his money.
Mrs. Sedgley. Look, why don't you let me drive you home? Or perhaps I can phone someone.
The only person you should phone is a lawyer. See you in hell for this. I'll save a place for you.
Now the patients complain you've just...
The Sedgley woman.
It's going to hang our bollocks out to dry. She's taking us to the General Medical Council. Hand-delivered from her solicitor.
She's going to need more than a few wild accusations for the GMC.
Read on.
Fee splitting?
Yes, God knows where she got the idea. It's a purely American phenomenon. The GMC will throw it out on day one.
This cheque to Morris. What does she mean?
Oh, the silly sod got behind on his alimony. I loaned him some money.
Is this something that you've done before? Loaned him money?
Once or twice.
Does he repay it?
As and when. You know how he is.
You paying regular amounts into his bank account isn't going to help your case, is it?
A few personal loans to an old friend with a cash flow problem hardly qualify as bribes. I'm sure GMC will see the veracity of that. Come on. Even if you...
When you were an SHO at the Midland, that cardiac surgeon, what was his name?
Which one?
When he went out to speak to a patient's relatives, he used to splash his greens with blood for the frisson of his entrance.
Yeah? Well?
You used to say that he built a wall around himself and anything that could touch him.
I've got a lot on at the moment.
It's been going on light years, Edgar. And now this whole China thing. When most men your age are thinking about winding down, about getting out.
And breeding bantams. I have a low boredom threshold. You, of all people, should know that.
I always knew when you had an operating list. You always whistled when you got up. I know what it means to you.
An operating theatre is the one place in this whole carnage of a system. Everything comes together. Everything's in its place. Synchronized. Where you depend utterly on your skills and those of others. It's the point of the whole bloody thing.
The fiercest of joy.
You what?
You wrote it in your diary once after an operation. And you still kept a diary.
Does it always have to be this way with us?
Perhaps. If we could get back to a place where we shared things. Shared the same ideas and... then maybe we could go forward.
Yeah, what's known in the trade as your bilateral exchange of feelings. I'm judged on my results. Not on how I enter a room or the psycho babble of cozy chit-chats with patients, but on my results. For every letter of complaint, I could show you a dozen, 100 that sing a very different tune.
I suppose gratitude carries its own frisson of sorts.
What you no doubt see as arrogance, they see as confidence. They need to feel that. Yes, even sometimes at the expense of their own dignity. I've seen a grown man hugging a teddy bear before an operation. Illness makes people vulnerable, childlike. One man's inferiority means that another is elevated. That's where the trust comes from.
Or the control.
That cardiac surgeon we used to laugh at. He lost concentration in an operation. Just once. Just for an instant, the patient died. He told the relatives how sorry he was. He took the responsibility, and they sued the pants off him for his trouble. He took early retirement, and a month later he was dead. Bilateral exchange of feelings. I think not.
It's me, Edgar. Lilith. Look at me. Damn it, look at me. Apparently not one of my better ideas.
Takes two, as they say.
You can be a cold-blooded bastard sometimes, Edgar.
It started off as a hobby.
I want you to move into the London flat when you get back from China, Edgar.
Edgar.
Oh, Morris, yes. I'll join you in a minute. Yes.
I spoke to the legal bods at the Medical Defence Council. They said to keep our powder dry and to stand by to provide relevant bank statements, etc.
I see. Nothing from the GMC yet?
Not a dicky
Well, I'm not very keen on having my financial arrangements bandied about.
Yes. Yes, I don't blame you.
Look, you're not letting this nonsense get to you, are you?
Good God, no. Hardly.
Come on. Look, the GMC Council. Oh, yeah, come on. Find out who the players are. See who can turn up. Right?
Sorry, sir.
He collected it from all over. India, Asia, ever since he retired. He never stopped, you see. Healing stones from Tibet. I knew he was having chest pains, but he wouldn't do anything about it. Doctors. Either they think they're ill 90% of the time, or they think they're immortal. I'll tell him you're here. Dr. Pascoe's here.
I see now that in following a scientific imperative, I have denied all possibility of mystery. Maybe it is that which has made me feel so alone. Was it weakness which made me cling to scientific proof? Or conceit? I think now that it is not old age which made me lose my curiosity, but terror of the unknown.
Please, Mr. Pascoe, don't be alarmed. We need a minute of your time. We're from the Chinese embassy. I am Lin Lingyan. My colleagues, Yun Yang and Zhang Shou.
Isn't it customary to make an appointment?
I am sorry, Mr. Pascoe, but there is something we must discuss with you concerning your trip to China. 照片. This is Wan Bu. He's a senior government health leader in Beijing. He's scheduled to visit the region where you will be based during your trip. He has a serious heart condition, Mr. Pascoe. He needs an operation. He asked me to approach you on his behalf.
I shall not be going in a clinical capacity. I'm chairing a conference.
We know that, Mr. Pascoe. We know all about the purpose of your trip. Oh, this would not inhibit your activities, not at all. A preliminary consultation, that's all he asks. To make your own clinical assessment. And then, should it be appropriate, we can arrange for an operating theatre in the local party hospital to be put at your disposal.
Aren't there proper channels for this sort of thing?
We're here unofficially, Mr. Pascoe.
Well, I'm sorry, it's utterly out of the question. Without a specific diagnosis or a knowledge of the patient's pathology, I couldn't possibly undertake such a project. If you'll forgive me, gentlemen.
外面等. This must be off the record, Mr. Pascoe. You see, sickness in a senior party official can make you vulnerable. There would be many who would use it against you. So this operation must be clandestine. We are a nation of actors, you see. There will be benefits, naturally, should you decide you can help us. All too often in China, the enemy of progress has proved to be bureaucracy, Mr. Pascoe. It can strangle a new venture at inception. Invisible doors just close without one even knowing it. I've seen this many times, I'm afraid.
China doesn't have the monopoly on that.
Yes, but I do know that Wan is very much excited by your telecommunications idea. Like you, he can see the enormous potential it affords. In fact, you would not find a more powerful advocate on its behalf. And of course, you would be properly remunerated for your expertise. Handsomely so. Just a consultation, Mr. Pascoe, that's all we ask.
But for such a consultation to be fruitful, I should need full access to a cardiologist and, if necessary, conduct my own clinical tests. But even then, I can give no guarantee as to my future involvement. Absolutely none.
All this we can do for you. So, if we could just move on to the procedural aspect. During your conference, you will be approached informally by a doctor who will ask you to see a patient. That'll be your cue. Until then, can I request that you make no mention of this matter to anyone?